Have you ever felt like you're just running on empty, but deep down you know there's more, so much more to give? Or maybe you're staring down a challenge right now and it feels, well, absolutely impossible. Today we're taking a deep dive into the raw, uncompromising philosophy of David Goggins. It's all laid out in his autobiography, Can't Hurt Me. And look, this isn't just a book summary, it's really an exploration of a mindset that fundamentally claims you're probably living at just 40% of your true potential. Can you imagine? Our mission today, well, it's to pull out the most powerful, let's call them nuggets of knowledge from Goggins' incredible life story, and also from the sharp insights in our sources. We want to blend his, very in-your-face motivation with a crucial balanced perspective. We'll unpack his journey, explore some of his most powerful mental shifts, the ones designed to make you unstoppable, and importantly, critically examine how practical such an extreme approach really is for your own life. We've pulled together a great blend of sources for this. We've got an in-depth summary of his core ideas and also a detailed review that offers a vital, critical lens on his methods.
Yeah, it's truly remarkable. Goggins' story is one of profound, almost unbelievable transformation. It really is. He went from a childhood scarred by extreme abuse, poverty, to becoming the only person to complete Navy SEAL training, which, has notoriously brutal attrition rates, and Air Force TCP training and Army Ranger School. It's just an unparalleled testament to the sheer power of human will. And it's hard. His book isn't just a memoir. It's kind of a manifesto, arguing that no matter how challenging your life is, you possess the capacity to improve it through relentless hard work. And a core lesson, maybe the core lesson, is that your greatest battles are always fought in your mind. We'll unpack exactly what that means for you.
Okay, let's unpack that. Because Goggins' story, it isn't just about pushing physical limits, is it? It actually starts way earlier. With an incredibly difficult childhood, our sources, they paint this picture of a life marked by a violent, abusive father, deep poverty. He struggled with racism, learning disabilities. He even admitted, quite candidly, to cheating in school, feeling this profound sense of shame. For years, he said he hid behind masks. At one point, he even became obese just to appear intimidating, all while feeling like, well, a coward inside. So what was the catalyst? What sparked such a radical, almost impossible shift?
Well, the sources point to a really pivotal moment. Goggins encountered a man named Scott Guerin. Guerin was a pararescue who had recovered from a truly debilitating accident. And hearing his story gave Goggins the belief, maybe for the first time, that if Guerin could overcome such physical and mental disadvantages, maybe he could too. It was the spark, the thing that pushed him from what he calls a victim mentality towards unequivocally owning his life. And this shift, it wasn't just abstract thinking. It culminated in a profound decision, made right there in front of a mirror after a particularly tough time. He just resolved, no more easy path, no more cheating. And this intense self-confrontation, it directly led to what he calls his first challenge for us, for the reader.
Wow, that sounds like a powerful moment, a real reckoning. And it brings us right to Goggins' first practical exercise, what he terms challenge #18.
Yeah.
He asks you, the listener, to reflect deeply on your own bad hand in life. The current factors limiting your growth and success. His instruction is blunt. Write everything down to the smallest detail. And then realize that your challenges can be turned into great power with the right mindset. So why should you consider diving into something so deeply personal? Isn't that a tough ask? Maybe even painful.
Yeah, that's a fair question. It raises an important point about how we process our past. Goggins believes these deeply personal, often painful details, they aren't meant to be excuses, not at all. He sees them as fuel for your success. By confronting them, writing them down, you start this process of radical acceptance. It's not about dwelling in the past, you see. It's about disarming its power over you now. By getting these bad hands out of your head and onto paper, you sort of transform them, from internalized burdens into objective data points. Goggins argues this is step one in unshackling your mind. It allows you to accept when you are weak, understand why, and then consciously let go of the emotional weight, the trauma. You reframe these experiences. They become the very crucible that forged the strength you have now. It's about facing it, owning it, and then, crucially, leveraging it.
Okay, so moving from that foundation of self-acceptance, Goggins developed a whole suite of specific psychological tricks, mental shifts, really, all designed to transform himself. Let's dive into some of the most powerful ones. First up, there's the really direct, maybe even confronting accountability mirror.
Ah, yes, the accountability mirror. It's all about radical honesty. Just staring your current reality square in the face, no blinking. Goggins tells you to write down your current situation, exactly how you're going to get out of it, and your big goals. Then, you glue these Post-its directly onto your mirror, where you have to see them every single day. And his language is intentionally blunt. He says, if you're fat, tell yourself you're fat. If you suck, tell yourself you suck. That's okay. You'll just need to work hard now. It's this unvarnished self-assessment, a daily reminder of where you are and where you intend to go.
That is profoundly direct, just putting it right there. So for those of you listening, thinking about applying this, it literally means taking your insecurities, your dreams, your goals, writing them down, and putting them somewhere you absolutely cannot ignore them. Goggins' message is crystal clear. If you are too dumb, study. Too fat, lose weight. Too skinny, work out. It sounds almost deceptively simple on the surface. What's the immediate benefit, Goggins argues, comes from that kind of raw honesty? And what's the biggest hurdle people might face trying it?
Right. Well, an insightful aspect here is that this isn't just self-critique for its own sake. It's about owning your entire path forward, taking responsibility. It's a direct counter to what he sees as a modern problem today, is that no one likes to hear the truth. The mirror, it just demands honesty. It strips away all the excuses we tell ourselves. The biggest barrier, honestly, is probably our own ego, that deep discomfort of confronting those hard truths about ourselves. But Goggins believes that once you push past that ego, you unlock this raw, untainted motivation, something that no amount of external praise or validation can ever replicate. It's about building that internal locus of control deep down.
Right. Following that, Goggins talks about building what he calls a calloused mind. By actively embracing discomfort, he actually describes craving the good feelings that discomfort gave him. I mean, who craves discomfort? That sounds counterintuitive.
It does, but it's a core tenet for him. And it's about intentionally doing things that, well, suck, daily. His challenge, #3 for you, is to write down all the things you don't like to do or that make you feel uncomfortable, things you avoid. Then highlight the ones that are actually beneficial, even if uncomfortable, and then go do one of them. Then do them again. And once it starts feeling comfortable, go further, push the boundary again. And while this principle of facing discomfort is incredibly powerful for growth, a critical point highlighted later in our sources, and one Goggins himself acknowledges, is that the method needs intelligent application. You have to be smart about it to avoid injury or burnout. For instance, running miles in freezing rain might feel hardcore, might feel badass, but it could also just lead to an unnecessary cold, or worse, an injury setting you back. Sometimes something like a cold shower offers a similar mental discomfort challenge without those same physical risks. It's about finding smart ways to be uncomfortable.
Okay, that makes sense. And here's where it gets really interesting, maybe one of his most famous concepts, the governor and the 40% rule. He suggests there's this internal voice, he calls it the governor, that's always telling you to give up, to stop, take the easy path. But Goggins claims that in reality, when you think you're all used up, you're only, about 50% done. Some sources say 40%. Basically, the 40% rule implies we're dramatically underestimating our true capacity, both physically and mentally.
Exactly. And this highlights a crucial point. Our perceived limits are often just psychological constructs. They're not real physical walls most of the time. The sources describe the governor as that nagging inner voice of weakness, the one that says, you can't. And Goggins' strategy is simple, but hard. Don't listen to it. Instead, push further when that voice becomes insistent. He explicitly suggests pushing just 5 to 10% more right when you feel like stopping. Now, this isn't about reckless abandon. It's not about ignoring genuine physical danger signals. It's about carefully, gradually resetting your baseline, pushing that perceived limit just a tiny bit further each time. It's an intelligent way to expand your comfort zone and, importantly, prevent injury by not making huge, unsustainable leaps. The idea is that each small push recalibrates your internal thermostat for what you believe is possible.
Right, incremental gains. Goggins also introduces another intriguing concept, taking souls. That phrase alone sounds incredibly intense, doesn't it? What does he actually mean by that? How does it play out beyond just, say, military scenarios?
Taking souls. Yeah, it's a striking phrase. But it's fundamentally a mind game Goggins developed. It's not always about literal defiance or having a physical opponent. It's about forcing yourself to overperform to such a degree that your perceived competition, whether that's another person, a difficult task, or even just your own self-doubt, is surprised and demoralized. He talks about SEAL Hell Week, how he and his boat crew pushed so hard, working with enthusiastic and energetic effort even in the absolute worst conditions, that it genuinely shook some of the instructors. They weren't expecting that level of output under duress. It's about finding that extra mental edge over your competitor. Because sometimes, as Goggins says, all you need to do is last 1 second longer than your competitor and you have broken them. You fundamentally shift the psychological dynamic. in everyday life. It could mean consistently delivering exceptional work that implicitly pushes others to raise their own game, or just showing up with an unshakable positive attitude that completely disarms a negative environment or interaction. It's about mental dominance through superior effort and attitude.
Okay, that makes more sense. So it's a psychological tool. Now, beyond these more, let's say, confrontational methods, we also hear about the cookie jar. That's where you mentally store all of your happy moments, past successes, challenges you've overcome to revisit when you're about to quit. And then there's visualization, where you vividly see yourself overcoming future hurdles before they happen. These sound like more positive, maybe even gentler reinforcement tools compared to, say, the accountability mirror.
Indeed. And that's important. While much of Goggins' philosophy leans heavily into confronting discomfort and pain, these methods, the cookie jar and visualization, they provide crucial psychological relief and motivation. They offer balance. The cookie jar is all about leveraging past triumphs, using them as tangible proof of your resilience, your capability. So when that inner governor starts screaming at you to stop, you mentally open the cookie jar. You pull out a memory, a past win, that reminds you, hey, I've been through worse than this. I've overcome before. I can do this now. It refuels you. Visualization, on the other hand, is more about pre-programming success, future pacing. By mentally rehearsing, overcoming future challenges, seeing yourself succeed, you reduce the anxiety around it, you build confidence, it makes the actual event feel less daunting, more familiar when you get there. So yeah, they are about harnessing past successes and future possibilities to override that immediate, overwhelming urge to quit. It makes the whole approach more holistic.
Right? A mix of pushing through pain and drawing on strength. Now, Goggins' journey to becoming unstoppable, as he puts it, it was anything but a straight line, wasn't. Our sources make it really clear he faced significant setbacks, big failures, which reinforces that this mindset isn't about avoiding failure at all costs, but actually embracing it as part of the process. I mean, he was medically discharged from the Air Force pararescue pipeline, felt like a total quitter. He struggled profoundly with his weight for years, and he even had to go through the agony of SEAL Hell Week twice because he got injured the first time. Twice.
Absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, Goggins genuinely views failure as a great gift, not something that should crush you or get you down. He demonstrated this perhaps most vividly during his attempts to break the Guinness World Record for pull-ups. That story offers profound insights into his resilience. In his first attempts, he faced all sorts of setbacks, external distractions like the Today Show filming him, but also critical errors in his own planning, nutrition, recovery, pacing. He admits he didn't respect the record enough initially. He pushed so incredibly hard that his palms were torn to open wounds. Doctors had to intervene, warning him about potential kidney failure, rhabdomyolysis. It was through these painful, very public failures that he meticulously learned. He refined his strategy, got custom equipment approved by Guinness, and adopted a much more disciplined, sustainable approach for the third attempt. He talks about consciously eliminating doubt that time, and he finally broke the record. It perfectly illustrates that setbacks aren't endings. They're crucial data points for future success. This iterative process, learning from failure, is fundamental to his growth.
That's a powerful example. So what does this all mean for us then? He didn't just achieve that goal and stop. He kept pushing. He talks about wanting to be the uncommon amongst uncommon, like deciding to go through Army Ranger School after already becoming a Navy SEAL, when, many might have felt that was unnecessary, maybe even beneath them at that point. And then there's the story of him deciding to run a 100-mile ultramarathon with basically zero preparation or specific training for it. I mean, who does that? That sounds less like mental toughness and more like, well, a wild gamble.
It does sound extreme, and we'll get to the critique of that specific event. But that constant, almost relentless pursuit, what he calls pushing further when you have achieved success in an area, that's a core tenet for him. It's about consistently raising your own bar, never getting complacent.
Yeah.
His life also shows remarkable adaptability. For example, he had to adjust to a serious heart defect, a birth defect, which required multiple surgeries later in life. Did he let that stop him? No. He pivoted. When intense running was no longer an option, he turned his obsessive focus to pull-ups. This is about being ready to adjust to the unexpected, finding new avenues to challenge yourself when old ones inevitably close. It's about resilience in the face of life curveballs.
He also heavily emphasizes auditing your time, ruthlessly trimming the fat, eliminating distractions, stopping the myth of multitasking. He suggests most people waste something like 45 hours a week. That just sounds like a monumental amount of self-discipline required.
It absolutely is, no question. And for you, the listener, this connects directly to another of his challenges, journaling failures. He urges you to think about all the heart-wrenching and most recent failures, journal them with pen and paper, and feel it, not digitally. He believes that tactile act of writing, really feeling the emotion of the failure as you write, helps solidify the lessons learned. And then, for the truly driven, the uncommon among us, as he puts it, he presents that daunting challenge. Pursue greatness even further after achieving success. Keep pushing. But he's honest that this isn't for everyone because it requires everything out of you. It's an admission that his path is extreme, maybe not suitable or desirable for everyone.
Right. And that leads us nicely into the next part. Because Goggins' story, his philosophy, it's undeniably inspiring for many. It offers this blueprint for extreme self-mastery. But our sources also offer a really important, critical, nuanced perspective. Not everyone agrees with Goggins' famously blunt principle, which, some might simplify down to just suffer because it feels good. It's more complex than that, but the critique is there.
That's a crucial point to discuss. The reviewer in one of our key sources really emphasizes this. They point out that Goggins' most extreme methods, like deciding to sign up for that 100-mile ultramarathon just 3 days before with zero specific training, apparently eating Hostess cakes and powerlifting the night before. That might cross the line from tough into foolish and irrational. The critique suggests that maybe such impulses stem from a deep, dark place, perhaps unresolved trauma driving him to extreme punishment. And it raises a valid concern. Is this type of extreme approach actually completely healthy for the general public to emulate? Could it, in the long run, lead to more harm than good? Physical and mental injuries, burnout, relationship problems.
And importantly, it's not just external critics saying this. Our sources highlight that Goggins himself admits, specifically in the audiobook version where he adds commentary, that the ultramarathon without proper training was the hardest experience he ever went through, flat out. And that he genuinely made a stupid decision by underestimating it so drastically. He owns that mistake. He explicitly recommends that you don't do that. He advises you instead gradually build up by 5 or 10% every week. That's a hugely significant correction from the man himself.
Yes, that self-correction is absolutely vital. It adds necessary context. While his relentless pursuit of discomfort is admirable and obviously led to incredible achievements, his initial advice, or at least the way some might interpret his early actions, could certainly be applied with more thought and intelligence, as the reviewer notes, specifically so that you, the listener, account for injury prevention and long-term sustainability. It underscores the point we touched on earlier. There are often smarter ways of experiencing the same discomfort. Instead of risking serious physical harm to build mental toughness, maybe a disciplined practice like daily cold showers, or consistently tackling difficult mental tasks you avoid, offers a similar mental challenge with far less physical risk. It really brings up that important question. Is Goggins' most extreme way the only way to unlock your potential? Or is the real value in extracting the underlying principles, the accountability, the discomfort, the 40% rule, and applying them intelligently and sustainably to your own life?
That makes a lot of sense. So for our listener who wants to gain this knowledge efficiently but also get the full picture, it really sounds like the audiobook version of Can't Hurt Me might be the best bet because Goggins actually adds his own commentary, his own corrections and reflections, offering that balanced perspective firsthand.
Exactly. The audiobook format allows you to grasp the core, unyielding philosophy, the raw Goggins, while simultaneously understanding the necessary modifications, the nuances needed for a healthy, sustainable approach over the long haul. It's ultimately about taking those incredibly powerful mental shifts, the accountability mirror, the 40% rule, embracing discomfort, and applying them intelligently. Not necessarily in the same extreme, potentially harmful way Goggins initially did in some instances. It's a call to earn your achievements through consistent, smart effort day in and day out, rather than just feeling entitled to them or seeking dangerous shortcuts to toughness. This intelligent application is what helps you achieve real growth without the high risk of burnout or serious injury. It's about longevity.
Okay, so we've taken a real deep dive today into David Goggins's Can't Hurt Me. We've explored his incredible, almost unbelievable journey from a truly difficult past to becoming this uncommon amongst uncommon achiever. We've uncovered powerful mental tools like the accountability mirror, the 40% rule, the cookie jar, and the idea of building a calloused mind, all designed to help you push past your own perceived limits and tap into that hidden 60% of potential Goggins believes we all have.
And crucially, we've layered that inspiration with important, balanced perspectives, both from critical reviews and, significantly, from Goggins himself in his later reflections. highlighting that while the inspiration is immense, a smart, gradual, and self-aware application of Goggins' principles is absolutely key. This thoughtful approach helps you avoid burnout and injury, ensuring these profound lessons truly serve your long-term goals and personal growth rather than derail them. It's about being hard on yourself, yes, but also being smart with yourself, finding that balance.
Well said. Goggins teaches us that ultimately every battle you will ever fight in your life will be fought in your mind. That's the arena. So, as you go about your week, maybe ask yourself this. What internal governor are you listening to right now? That voice telling you to quit, to settle, to take it easy. And what small, intelligent 5 to 10% push could you make this week? Not a reckless leap, but a deliberate step to start recalibrating your own limits sustainably and strategically.
Keep exploring these ideas. Challenge your own assumptions about what you're capable of, and find that crucial balance that helps you unlock your own version of unstoppable potential, whatever that looks like for you.